Welcome back to the GLAC Studios oil painting tutorial. This is Gomati Sevasankaran. We are in the 5th class of oil painting tutorials. What we have been doing so far is to work on a portraiture of a baby girl, and we have completed the second phase, so to say, of blocking, making spaces and agreeing on where things should go with a painting. And we will now continue with the next step. And the next step will be, now we get started with the real colors that we want to use for the skin tones and the texture of clothing and so on. So we get started with this phase. This is slightly, more into the details. It's going to be the third layer. The first layer that we painted was the the rough layering of the canvas itself, and the second layer was the blocking, and now it's going to be the third layer, and with a little more of details. So the level of detailing, now the question is, how many layers do we do? Well, it's up to us. The level of detailing that you want, that you feel comfortable with and are happy with, where you want to stop. So this is where you begin a journey of learning to layer. But let me remind you, I will stop at some point and say that, okay, to me, this looks okay, but need not necessarily be that this is the same point where you want to stop. So you can go on layering and detailing as much as possible for you, convenient for you, and as realistic as you want the painting to be. And that's the speciality of what we can do with oil colors, and the level of realism we can bring into a painting. So we are now walking into the space of creating a little more of reality into the artwork that we are working on. So I start with first creating some tonalities that I want to capture for the baby girl's face and the skin texture. Right now what I have with me are some brushes. I have different brush numbers, 2, 6, 8. I think this is 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So that's what I have, and none of these brushes are really a high quality or something. So these are really store-bought brushes. So I'm also trying to show you what we can do with simple elements, and even the professional colors that I use, you can always start with something basic. So need not necessarily be that you are also trying to buy the same brand or same colors. So you can just try with whatever you have in the beginning, and then when you feel more comfortable with oil colors and oil painting as such, you're welcome to move on to buying professional material to work on, because it is a costlier deal when it comes to oil painting. Yeah, so these are the brushes that I am going to be using, but I will keep on telling you when I shift brushes each time and why. And for the skin color, I have yellow ochre light to start with. I will take a little bit of that, and this is a baby skin tone, isn't it? So there's always some subtle subtleness or tenderness when it comes to doing baby skin and texture. So we need to be aware of that. So it's not going to be really hard colors, at least when we are thinking of working on realistic pictures. So I will take this yellow ochre. I have yellow ochre light, but yellow ochre as such will be available in most of your packets, whatever pack you have. And that will be a good start to work with a skin tone. And I will need white. I have titanium white with me. And I'm trying to see for the subtleness or the what do you call the softness. I want a little bit of pink, and if not available, I do not have a crimson though, but I have a tonality that is close to crimson, so that I'm going to take a little bit of this because it is very close to crimson. So I'm just taking a bit of this and the yellow ochre or yellow ochre light. And the white separately. I have also explained in the previous classes that there are different methods of approaching mixing, blending colors and preparing tonalities. And so people who love spontaneity prefer to do it directly on the canvas. There are ones that prefer structure and more organized ways, so they prefer to have it on the palette. Both ways are fine. For now, I'm going to take so I'm taking the number 2 brush. I think yes, it's number 2 brush, and you can see that I have a little bit of these 3 colors already set up. So if I have to repeat, it's yellow ochre light that I have. Yellow ochre will also do a little bit of crimson or near to color, close to crimson, and then a little bit of white just to see lighter tonalities. And we are now getting started with the detailing, the next level of detailing. I have the oil, the same oil that I have been using as the medium. It's the raw cold pressed linseed oil that I have been using, and I do take a little bit of this. I have also explained why it's important to have as little oil as possible in the beginning, so it's helpful for you to maneuver through, make changes more and more. When it gets more oily, it's so much fat on the canvas, and it becomes very difficult to rework on top of the same. So the lesser you have, the more it is. So I will take a bit of these colors and I will show you how I'm mixing. For the ones that are curious to see the mixing process, I'm just taking a bit of this color tonality and I'm watching the picture here to see where am I getting close to a skin tonality or not. So I will do that by having the picture next to me. Again, the picture is available on the link provided in the description section. So you can download the same picture, or if you want to use your own pictures or portraits of somebody that you know, a child that you know, that is also good. And keep doing that. More contact that you have to nature, reality, the more better it is. We are using this picture as a sample. And this was given to me by my dear friend. She was kind enough to share with us the picture of her 6 months old daughter. I think while we finish the painting, she will be 7 or more plus months old. Yeah? Getting a color tonality very close to that, maybe not exact, but I'm nearly there. So I don't wait for the 100%. Like I said, I am more spontaneous. I prefer painting on the go and trying to find colors and adjusting colors directly. For the ones who prefer to have tonalities ready, I would say, yeah, do that. The darker tonality, the lighter tonality, whatever you want, have it ready and get started. So I have the lighter tonality kind of ready. I am convinced with this tone for now, so I'm getting started on the spaces that I already made the marks of lighter tonality. See how easy it is to work on when you have already started defining the darker and lighter spaces that you want to work on while we are doing the blocking. So it helps. Yeah. But need not necessarily be that everything is right. I might have made some mistakes. So I keep an eye on the subject all the time just to double check. But it's a little bit easier for me to work on because having made that blocks already is helping me in the process. And don't worry about the hair texture, whatever, we will do that again anyways. You know that by now. We can always redo stuff. So there are some lighter tonalities here, here, and here. It's that pretty. So I did the lighter tonality on her face. I'm looking at her cheeks. And again, this is also a time for you to rework and adjust if there is any changes that you've been thinking of. Every step of this game, when you restart, look at it and see, okay, have we made any mistakes? Are there any scopes we could find for change or improvisation here and there? So keep the eyes and mind open for more changes that the painting might need. So I'm also looking at it. I notice more details now that I'm, focusing on it. Like I see a slight bend here, which I didn't notice in the first time. So each time you try to look into it deeper, you find something else. It never stops surprising you, I can tell you that. The more you watch, the more you learn. And I have also noticed from the tendencies of my children, the students that I work with closely here, I've noticed that once they are sure of it, they stop looking at the original picture or the subject that they have, and then they start doing directly. And that's where I say, stop. Keep looking at it, keep referencing it. The more you have the eye contact with the reference, the easier it is for you to identify new areas to improve and also identify any errors that you might have made that need to be corrected. So keep that mind open and keep that view, going crisscross. If it is not so comfortable for you to, let's say, there's a pain you have in your neck or something, and it's really troubling you, it's a good idea to think of think of having a space that is as close as possible, just the way I did. For me, this movement of my head or neck between the canvas and the subject that I have printed off, this is fine. Some people are okay having a laptop or an iPad just across and doing, looking at it and working. So it's up to you. Just look at the way you are functioning in a space provided. So if you see, I've got all the materials on an IKEA moving tray here. So most of the things that I need are inside this block, right underneath this camera. So it's convenient for me to move around because this space is shorter and that's what I need. So it's really important for us to make ourselves comfortable when we are going more into details, because this is not something you want to waste your time on or being feeling uncomfortable about. So There you go. With the lighter shades on the face. And I think most of it seems captured here. You've got it. And I will come back with a lighter shade also in some more spaces where it's not so obvious because we have different tonalities coming up. We'll do that. There is one here right on her upper lip. Very tiny space. So I see that. I've done that. And then I go to her neck. Her neck has a different tonality. It's not exactly this, but then slightly I will add this neck, and the chest area has a slight tonality, but I will, it's still wet, so I'm going to work on this again. So slightly I did that. And where else can we see this similar tonality? Oh, it's obvious, it's there in the hands. Don't we have to fix that? Yes. So let's start looking at the fingers now. There is some we can see in her fingers. The other two fingers were, remember, the ones that we drew, we added. I don't know if you chose to add that. I chose to ignore the toy that is underneath her armpit here, and I chose to instead introduce the other two fingers that were not visible in the picture. She had it folded, I think. So right now I'm just taking care of that, and I'm using, but then it's not going to be the same lighter tonality because they are far behind from the camera's view, and also there must be shadow on it. So I'm keeping that mindset. It's going to be slightly darker, not too light. So I'm going to address that in shortly. But then for now, I'm going to work on the hand. I've done that slightly here. Got it. And then there is this section of the hand that is underneath her shirt, and she's putting her pressure of the body on this hand while she's making the move. So there is very less of lighter tonality visible. There is a lot of shadow there. So I will just slightly do this, but not too much. Maybe a little bit here, and again not too much, because these are the areas that are going to be slightly darker. And now I come back to, so I haven't mixed any other color frame or tonality. I am only working on one at a time right now. And then I go back to her left hand. Again, there is slightly a lighter tonality here, and here I can see a little more because this hand is out there. She's reaching for the toy, and there is light on the hand, so we can see a considerable amount of her left hand showing or throwing light. Good girl. She has given us a very good subject to work for, isn't it? That's why I always say, start with your kids to learn. They'll make you experts very soon. Okay. Again, here we created two more fingers that were blocked out because the picture itself misses out the full image of her left hand. So again, we throw our imagination into the other two fingers the way we want it, and again I will imagine more light coming in here as opposed to the other hand. More light coming in here, and maybe more of it visible like this. So I'm imagining here, and I'm having this. So now I'm ready for the next level of tonality. So what I'm going to do is to mix the colors in the same proportion. So I'm taking the white, I took the yellow ochre light, keep blending it, slightly introduce the crimson or anything that is close to crimson that I have. Honestly, I do not know the name of this as well. Yeah, anyways, so I'm introducing that. I want a slightly darker tonality of this, so I'm keeping on adding it to see if I get another tone. Now, this is slightly darker than the one we have on the canvas, and this is what I needed to blend in, because so there are two or many approaches, but I would say two logical approaches to work on any portraiture. The logic will be to start working on the lightest tone and move on to the darkest tone, or to work on the darkest tone and move down to the lightest tone. So both are perfect. I think people have tried both. I have seen many artists doing that in a very good manner. So when I introduce this next level tonality, I'm starting at the area where I ended the lightest tone. So I'm just blending this in, because I'm going to also add a more darker tonality soon. And especially the nose, can you see it's just a very delicate, it's like the tip of the nose, it feels like a small little diamond there. And it's subtle, so you need to be very careful to define that, the tip of that nose, and blend this color in slightly and keep on going like that. I'm also doing this here. Okay, let's do a bit of it here as well. I will introduce more darker one soon. I'm doing it here, and I'm looking at this one. Okay, for me it starts giving out the shades that I want. So it's there. Underneath her eyes, getting there, and here in the just near her, the nose, and also a bit on her cheeks. So I'm not still coming to her lips, but I'm working on sections, and you can still see that there are differences. I'll start blending them in slightly. That's what I see. And maybe in this cheek slightly, because there's a patch of this pinky skin tone here. I will use that. But it's also mixed with other color tones. So there is going to be one more color tone coming in. And let me see the ear. There is a little bit of this color tone here that I notice. Like that. Can we do the neck? Again, I can already see that it's going to get a slightly darker skin tone soon. Blending it. Blending it in the hands as well. Places where I can. In the fingers, now you can see that, this color blending in to form her hands. In spaces where there are more shades, it can just add to another shade here. And I will use that in the imaginary areas as well. So remember, when you're copying, we also agreed that we will not try to do 100% copy. We will try to do something on our own and introduce characteristics on our own or some features on our own. So we did introduce that. So don't forget to also parallel shade them and imagine how the shades will be. Will they be dark? Will they be lighter? How will they look? Huh? Keep imagining that. Do this as well. Okay. So I have done a slightly pinky tonality as well. Here. And I think I'm ready to move on to make another tonality right now. So here I want it a little more darker. So I'm adding more of the yellow ochre to see how it goes. And remember, we had a bit of this. I did have the Van Dyke brown, the brown that we used initially for the dark and lighter shades. I want to take slightly a bit of it to see if it can help me create a darker tonality. Not too dark, because still we're talking about a baby skin. And I'm saying that this is, yeah, I can take a little more, it looks like, for me. I'm taking that. Reusing it. So it's got the crimson, the yellow ochre, and the white mixing. So you have this skin tonality that is very close to the darker areas where the shade or the sunlight is not catching in her skin. So I'm going to do that. So I have essentially made only 3 tonalities for now, and maybe I will rework on them when I go into further details. But for now, I think it is starting to give me some essence of the shades that I have in the subject. Yeah. And remember, I also try to blend them. By blending, we mean making sure the tonalities don't stand out like they are belong in separate parts or separate section of the painting. So you wanted to merge the lines, to merge, and that's also one way to paint it, to show these lines. So that is also one style of painting. But when we are trying to do a bit of naturalism, we want to blend. That's what we want to do. Yeah. So I am also parallel trying to blend as much as possible. So I use the same brush. I haven't shifted the brush or changed anything about the brush, and not to wipe off anything from the brush yet. I haven't done that. I'm doing okay, fairly okay now. So and the brush is also okay for me now to work on. So I continue with that. I have. So can you see how I'm blending this? And then eventually I want the lines to not show. So the nose, the line is merging. And don't worry about the white shade that you see on the picture, because that's going to be one of the layers. There are many layers we are going to do. There's just one of them. And again, there are some clear, clean strokes that we want to do also with the eyes and some spaces. We will do that. For now, I'm doing the blending. Just come out, and it will look slightly flat at this point. If you are working on a couple of tonalities, it could be possible that it will look slightly flat. That is okay. You can bring in 3D impact or more of shading, more of tonalities if you want. But I'm just trying to make it simple for your understanding for now. So using just 3 different tonalities of skin tone to show you how I'm shading. Okay. Okay, we do under her nose. There are the spaces that are slightly darker. So I'm going to go into that as well. So I will need a bit of darker color to work on that. But before that, I'm just doing under her nose, the upper lip area. I'm trying to blend in. Slightly. If you see, I'm using the same brush without, washing it or cleaning it to merge the lighter tonalities as well. So it's okay to do that. If you are not so comfortable, you want to switch brushes, that's also fine. By trying that, we do that. Just got the face kind of blended it. So you stop seeing some of the lines which we could see evidently after our blocking stage. Now we begin to blend those spaces, and remember the hair. So I want to put in this baby girl's hair has fallen a lot into her forehead, and I want to have the background of these hair strands, which is her forehead, to be done properly. So I do that, and then when it dries, then I will start. When we come to the reality or the detailing of the hair strands, then we will be able to work on top of this. Yeah, so that's why I'm doing it. I think I explained it in one of those classes why we are doing so much up here when it's just covered by hair strands. We cover this, and we have this space also. Blend it as much as possible. Blend it. And I check if I have missed any space. If I have missed some more of the space, it could be that I want another tonality again, maybe much more richer or darker one. The lips will have another tonality, so I'll wait for that. Look at this, the ears. We'll need one more, isn't it? So we have the neck. Now I'm working on the considerable portion of the neck because I know that I'm coming close to this tonality that I need. I will add or introduce one more, and I do another level of color tone just in a short while from now. Did that here. So I take a bit of the color, same color tonality to go into her fingers, the spots that are hidden. So I did her thumb right now. I want want to go into the other fingers that we created. And I will remember to shade it even darker because they are the fingers, and this hand is completely underneath the body of the baby, and that's why they are slightly darker. So I keep introducing that, keep working on the shades. So I think for now the hand is almost over. It misses some more darker shades, which I will get to when I build another color. I'm doing this a little more faster now. For ones who feel that this is fast enough, this is good enough, just continue along with me. The ones that feel, no, I want to do it a little more slowly, do pause and get your work done the way you want, and then you can restart alongside with us. Yeah. So your own pace is the best pace that you are doing justice to the artwork. So please follow your pace. Be comfortable and happy with it. Yeah. So I think I'm almost done with the right hand of the baby here with the third tonality that we created, and I am now moving on to the left hand. This has a considerable portion also near the elbow that is in the dark, because the body of the baby is creating that shadow, or the lighting is not falling directly on the left shoulder and on until her elbow, and it's only thereafter that we begin to see the lighter shade which we already have given, isn't it? Okay, here we go. The last part, the hand as such has most of the lighter shade. We already did that. So I think we will move on a little quickly here to finalize this part, because there's going to be some more darker of the shade coming up. Okay. Guess we are done with the third tonality. So can we now move on to the fourth one? And that will be more of the Van Dyke brown that I still have from the old, color that I had used. So I'll continue to use that. At this stage, do remember that the brush becomes a little dirty. So if you want to wash it, that's fine. If you're comfortable, also remember that you can keep on rolling it to make sure that the tip of it has the color that you want. For me, it's okay. I'm not feeling so pressurized about cleaning them right away. But for once, for feeling, yeah, I need to clean, I'm getting confused, please do that. All right, let me start in the area where it is a little safer. So I'm just still doing this space. Can you see? And I like using my fingers as well. Also in many places wherever I can. So I just do this blending with my hand, with my finger. So I just did that on the top just to see how the color tone sits. I think I'm okay with it. So this is the fourth tonality that we are doing. And I can see that there are very clear spaces where this fourth or little darker tonality goes in. So for example, the ears, right in the middle of the ear, that's where it is. And I can see some spaces here that will have this slightly darker tonality. So I will do that. And I'm keeping on blending the colors from the previous areas that I have done to see, okay, is this really dark, or is this an area where I should have made it lighter or so? So I keep on looking into that, and I blend with my finger as well, as much as I can. Okay, so again, now for me, the nose, the space here in the nose has this tonality, but it's not so obvious. So again, I will use my finger to blend in and bring that shade. You see, so I have done that. So it starts dropping into her nose like this. And I do the same thing for her under eyes as well. Here and here. Do that. Notice that. And here I feel that a little more of the lighter tonality can walk in. I'm just trying to pull. So if you see, the oil paint helps you pull and push colors around where you need. It's not that it's not written in rock there. Once you have done it like that, it's going to be like that always. So I'll do that, and I notice that there is some space where a lighter tonality could have fit in. I'm using my finger to draw that up and do the slight darker shade. I'm still working on the eyes, around the eyes rather than on the eyes. So I just did that. And maybe the eyebrow space, which we didn't touch upon, I will just go and fill it in, because I will work on it later. Because there's a lot of detailing that will go on that space. But for now, I can just make this slightly like that. And yeah, maybe blend in this space. We don't want to see much of the hair now, because I'm curious to see how the shading looks rather than the hair. Anyways, we will work on it. So I'm going now underneath the nose, the nostrils. That were dark. That was dark, and I use my finger to blend in the lighter tonalities. See if it is still sticking out there. Right. Okay. So that I did. And now for the lip. The lip is not brown, but the space where the upper lip and the underlip are touching, there is this space that is slightly darker. So we will capture that using this brown that I have. And also where the lips join, under her cheek, there is this slight smirk in her face that we want to cover. Also, that helps to cover in this color tonality. So it's a careful work. Again, I am continuing with my toothbrush. If you're not comfortable and if you feel that you need another smaller brush for this, it's also a good idea to switch to a zero brush or 00, whatever that is. Even more, lesser of the number of hairs to work on. So that's also fine to work on. It's up to you to choose the brush that you feel convenient with. So for now, I think this is okay. I will work on that detail a little later. Again, now I'm coming back to the neck, where there is more of the darker tonality that we have been Now working on the fourth tonality, isn't it? So let's do that. Near her, the space where the body is just underneath the curve of her shirt. That is darker because we don't get to see much of it. The skin is now hiding behind the shirt, and we want to show that. And when you blend it, also be careful, let's not make it look really obvious. So I'm just blending it away. It's by blending it, what I do is also a slight circular motion. If you see the way the hand moves, it's just I'm not even moving my arm. I am moving only the upper part of my fingers like this. So that itself is enough for you to blend. So now bigger movement. We are done with bigger movements actually. With this painting, we did that already. So now it's just smaller movements, and if you're convinced that the finger does the better job, nothing like it, go for it. We will do the same exercise for the hand, and the hand, the more of the hand, it's actually in a darker shade, and we are adding it to this layer, the skin tonality. And I will again do the very slight movement of blending, and if I need, I will just go with my finger and blend them in the direction that I feel convenient. And the thumb is folded, so there are some portions where one cannot see much of the thumb. So again, that will be one obvious space of darker tonality. Considering the whole hand is underneath her body, yes, all are slightly going to be darker than the others, but still, just to be aware of the more darker spaces to be covered. And the space is in between her fingers, tiny, tiny fingers. You do not get to see, they are just gone in the dark. Again, blending them in, it's going to be a challenge. If you're convinced with the same brush, do that. If you need a smaller brush, I do have, for example, very small brush. Like this is really tiny, and it's 0/3, whatever. Yeah, it's 3/0, so it's really tiny one. But then for now, I am okay. I am not in paranoia to switch the brush, so I'm continuing. But if I feel the need, I will always continue to change into the other if I need. To feel comfortable switching into a brush that is more easier for you to achieve the shading in those tiny little detailed areas that you are not able to reach. Okay, we will need one more tonality, a stronger one to work on further detail. But this is where I do it slightly differently. I have seen many of the artists working in a way that they work on one particular area and do it perfectly 100% and then move on to the other. And they're very good at it. I love that approach. I am also a fan of that approach. But here, what we are going to learn is to work on certain areas and move on to the other as well, and keep on building on an average, improvising the layers on all the areas of the canvas equally. This is the approach that I am going to share with you through this class and workshop, the tutorial. So you will get to see me moving into the other spaces as well in the next class, and then coming back to this detailing again. So I will do that. But we have to remember the kind of colors that we have been using in that case, because we will need the same when we are moving into this space again after a while. Okay, that's what we need. So let's look at the blending. Is there anything missing with the blending? For now, I am slightly convinced that the shades are coming in there. And wherever I have left open, I will keep on working on it. So it's also a good idea, if you are worrying if you have missed anything, to check for obvious places with the help of a mirror like this. Can you see that? Oh my God, can you already see that there is some space that we have left? There's a lot of space to work on in detail. Yes, so for now, I'm going to say that I will work on a little bit of her lips. So I'm taking slightly in the tip of my brush, I'm taking the crimson that I did. I already have the dark brown in the brush. I haven't cleaned the brush, so I will just go on. Put in this crimson and blend it with the brown that I have. So, like I said, I have a spontaneous approach and I like blending colors directly on the canvas. If you are not convinced with the idea, do make a touch of a slight dot of this crimson and with the Van Dyke brown or the darker brown, or could be a burnt umber or raw umber that you might be using. So do that, mix it and prepare it, and then fill her lips, tiny lips with that. So I'm leaving out the space where it's we already filled the brown, isn't it? The darker brown for the space where our lips are joining, coming closer. We didn't touch that, so we are doing this. So she is looking slightly on the pinkier side in her lips, which I want to tone down. Because my approach is slightly spontaneous, so I take a bit or more of the brown and try to see if I can bring it down slightly. This is fine for now, because when I do another layer of it, I will come back to the lip and do a fixture of it. Or if you are not so convinced, try the white as well, which I will not do much of, maybe just to show how you can tone down. So I toned it down slightly by only taking a minute bit of this white on my tip of the brush. But I can see, yeah, this is okay for now. I think I will come back to this again. So for now, if we have to just summarize what we have done, we have started with the third layer of painting on this portrait of the baby. We only worked on her skin tone. We have not touched her eyes. We started with the lighter skin tone in her skin, and then worked towards the slightly darker skin tone. I think we worked on 4 skin tones using yellow ochre light, crimson, white, and a bit of Van Dyke brown. So we kept that, and we have made a considerable image of her, face with the shades. And wherever we haven't blended, we can still continue blending. And we looked at blending using the brush or using the finger. Using the finger, I think you can feel more of it very easily. But using the brush, be mindful when you are making the blending movement. The movement as such happens on the upper part of your fingers. So you're not moving much of your hand up to here. So you're only moving your finger like this slightly and making very slight circular movements to blend. I am explaining this for the benefit of students who ask me this question again and again. How do you blend? This one blend. We did that. That's what we did in today's class. So I hope you like this, and I hope you're also doing a great job with your paintings. You do share your picture at whatever stage it is, so it's good to share and see where we are going. Are we together? Are we getting ahead or so? So do share that along in the comment section. I look forward to having you around in the 6th class, where we will work on the similar way on the shirt of the baby, and then we will do something exciting about creative ideas on the grass and the sky maybe, and we will come back to the toy also. So that's how we are going to go around in circles in the next classes. So we will do this, and again we will come back to the face when we feel we are a little more ready to do more adjustments to it. Yes, thank you very much for watching this class, and see you again in the next class. Bye bye.